At the moment, a tropical cyclone is making its way through the United States of America, venturing outside of the tropics. But how far outside of the tropics can a system like that venture in Australia? Well, we'll have a think about it. This is the flooding we're currently seeing in North Carolina. Huge amounts of water in that region. But this system has ventured all the way as far north as Indiana. So in Midwest US, this is one of those Midwest states where you typically see some fairly cold weather. In fact, it's more than 40 degrees north. And so to see this kind of heavy flooding rain from a tropical system is exceptionally rare. In fact, South Bend, Indiana, where my wife's grandparents live, have never seen a tropical system impacting the region. So it's definitely a first for them, and we've seen quite a few power outages in that area from this system. But in terms of what this system is doing now, well, it's making an extratropical transition, which is what we typically see, where it starts to interact with the cold air and venture further away from the tropics. Typically, that kind of thing happens a fair bit earlier on, but this system is a little bit strange in that regard, seeing a fair bit of moisture helping that system along even when it's been over land. Now, let's have a think about how this works for Australia. So the Tropic of Capricorn is located about at Rockhampton through to Alice Springs and also as far west as just between Exmouth and Carnarvon. So north of the Tropic of Capricorn, that's known as the tropics. Further south of that region, we're in the mid-latitudes, but sometimes tropical cyclones do venture outside of the tropics, and we can see them venturing down the coast. And in fact, Perth has been impacted in the past by a Category 3 tropical cyclone Albie, back in the 70s. And so we saw widespread destruction and heavy rain. In fact, in the past 100 years or so, we've seen 14 tropical cyclones impact parts of Perth. We just haven't seen much of that in the last 20 years. Now, further across the south, and we haven't really seen as much because typically systems track from west to east when they're moving through the mid-latitudes. And so any tropical system has to interact with the desert. So that usually kills off any system. But Sydney has been impacted in the past. In fact, back in 1950, a tropical cyclone impacted Sydney, and unfortunately 7 people died from that system as we saw substantial flooding rain and also damaging winds.